Hello, hello. I'm going to jump straight into this. And today's video, oh no, I didn't plan what I was going to say. And that's the kind of point of today's video, because I'm going to explain why I'm not editing this video, and indeed why you should go into things in life and practice when you're performing and when you're using your voice. Practice without being able to change it afterwards, no matter how bad and scrappy it is. So, firstly, if you're interested in voice and stuff, subscribe to this channel. That's the thing I need to say. And oh my goodness, I'm so on edge for some reason, because I'm not going to be able to change this, so it's going to come out really, really uncertainly. And so I'm going to put together words that are unclear, and this is exactly the point. So the thing about performance, the thing about being a real person standing on stage, is that you get up and you do something and you can't edit it. Now on YouTube, which is where I'm posting this, you have the possibility. You have this wonderful and amazing possibility to go in and take the thing that you are creating and chop it down until it is acceptable to you. In this particular series of videos, I am not doing that. I am not editing. I'm just putting it up with all of the mistakes. And today I'm going to say 3 reasons why you should think about doing something like that as well. Not necessarily putting it up on YouTube, but getting rid of this idea that you can change what you've said once you've said it. So the first reason is that in real life, we don't get to edit. We do. We can say, oh, I meant this, but once we've said it, we've said it. And often when people are getting up on stage, they get stuck in the headlights. If you're giving a presentation, if you're like a new improviser, if you're an actor and you've forgotten your lines, we get stuck because we don't know what we're supposed to do. And a lot of the way that I teach people to learn speeches and things, if we have to do that, is to start to learn different thought patterns around an idea rather than the specific words. And that's to try and stop this effect. Now, the thing about being online is that we get very, very used to seeing people creating things that are highly edited to remove all of the ums and ers and all of the little quirks and strangenesses. And people have maybe done, we don't know if someone's done like a dozen takes of the same thing or if it's the first thing that they've done. We don't know. And so we start to kind of judge ourselves against these people's very well edited versions of their stuff. And I think it makes sense. We're trying to make the best thing, but it can be quite bizarre. So let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I'm a professional speaker. I've been in the speaking community for a while, and someone was telling us about the power of putting videos on your website, or something like that, making videos for your business. And this was a professional speaker, someone who gets up on stage and talks to people. And their video went something like this. So I'm going to move when we had an edit. They said something along the lines of this. They were like, hello, I'm the name of the speaker. And today I'm going to talk about this thing, which is important to my business speaking. And I mean, obviously, you can see it's ridiculous. I'm throwing myself off there just by changing. But what we were seeing was something that they'd spoken out loud, like I'm doing now, in a kind of extemporaneous way, and then they chopped it down, and they had an edit every few. Less than a second sometimes, and it looked so weird. And also, that's a professional speaker. That's someone who gets up on stage and has to talk about what they do. You don't get to edit in life. Why on earth would you be doing that online? And that sort of very much stuck with me, because this was someone who was supposedly teaching about the value of video. And so there's a lot of that sort of stuff out there, whether people I don't know, I just don't understand why people want to remove all of the things that make them human. So I'd say that making videos like this, scrappy ones where I'm clearly talking around stuff and you getting to see that, there's a value in that, if we get good at doing that, if you get good at extemporaneously talking around things, you get better at doing it on the fly, And I'm very intentionally like not rehearsing lots of stuff here. You're just getting my stuff as it comes out. And then that's the first reason, okay? You don't get to edit in real life. The second reason is that I'm a perfectionist. I'm a bit of a weird perfectionist in that my way of doing perfection is to avoid doing things completely. And there's a good TED talk from Tim Urban, I think his name is, the guy from Wait But Why. I think it's called Inside the Mind of the Procrastinator or something. And in it, he very much describes the experience of people with ADHD. You don't need to have ADHD to be a procrastinator. There are other symptoms, but it is a good example of basically you put off doing the thing until you absolutely have to do it, and then you put in a version which is a bit crap because you haven't got time. But then at least you don't get to show that you're best. You know, if you'd spent all the time doing this piece of work and it was not good, then that means that your best is not good enough. Whereas if you put it off, and then do it in record time at the end, then if it's not good, well, it's not my best because I didn't spend the whole time doing it. And I'm a bit like that with videos. You know, I'm a filmmaker. I've been a filmmaker for like 20 years. I know how to edit. I know how to put together things. I know how to do special cuts and all this sort of stuff. I can really get geeky on those types of things, but what happens is that I have so many projects that I have maybe videoed and not edited and not put out, and then now they've run out of time, you know, they're not relevant anymore, and I just waste a lot of time and don't get stuff out in the world. So for me, this is useful because it means that I have to be really strict and just go, oh my God, that was so scrappy, and chuck it up. And it's out there. I can't do anything about it. But hopefully some of them will be useful to some people. That's the second reason. It's a good practice for me, personally, to get it out and get rid of that perfectionist tendency. And the third and final reason is that I will get better with practice, and as will you. So one of the things that we I think we trick ourselves as people who communicate. You know, if you're going to get up on stage and you're going to communicate something, maybe you're an actor, we're going to trick ourselves that if we know what it is that we're going to say, that we're going to be better. So an actor might learn their lines, and they might learn their lines, and they might learn their lines, and then they get up on stage and they'll be like, well, I know my lines, so I'm good enough. And often those actors are the ones who are, to put it bluntly, not very good. Whereas those who like get off book quickly and get it in their body and start playing around with it and start seeing what happens on stage and mess up and don't get all the lines right, maybe the first few times, but it's okay because they're playing and they're working with basically improvisation, sort of physical improvisation of the ideas in that play. One, they learn the lines faster because it's in the body, but two, they're better. They're better and they're more interesting, and if things go wrong, as they often do in live experiences, they can respond to them, because they've trained the body to do this thing, which is in that case acting the play, in a million different ways. So a chair falls over, and then suddenly they can just deal with it. Whereas someone who's stuck to the script is now stuck because they only have one path in this flow chart of possibilities of like start of play all the way through to the end. They only have one path, and if it stops, they get stuck. And the people who are the improvisers, they have a million different paths. So something goes wrong here, and then they can just go off and do something else. And that makes you a stronger, more powerful performer, and one that's more able to deal with the messiness of real life. So this was a messy, real video, and I'm going to leave it there. So if you're interested in voice, in performances, in learning, in whatever you're interested in, if it's related to any of these things, then please, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want in your life, actually. Sign up to the thing that we're on. Yep, that was a good word. Forgot what it is. This video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, go to my Instagram, sign up to the waitlist for the Voice Lab online program that's happening in the new year. Those are some options of things you could do, or you could just go and make yourself a cup of tea. That's also possible.